This is what happened when an antisocial kid joins a service club with girls. Part 2. To his buddies, Kakeru is making fun of Hachiman. The service club is starting up again, which excites Yui. Saika extends an invitation to Hachiman to join him on the school excursion. Together, Hayato and Hina enter the classroom. Yukino makes tea in the clubroom after school and serves it to the participants. They talk about the field trip, and Yukino goes into great detail about her intentions. Hachiman and Yui have a sneaking suspicion that Yukino is genuinely thrilled about the vacation but won't say it. Tobe makes the decision to explain his desire for assistance in creating the right atmosphere in order to ask Hina out during the field trip. Due to the disagreements between Yui and Yukino, Hachiman will be the one to break the tie. Hachiman eventually concurs and queries Tobe regarding the dangers involved. The second-year students depart for their field trip the following day. Yui tries to seat Kakeru and Hina next to each other on the train, but it doesn't succeed. On the second day of the trip to Kyoto, Hachiman bumps into Yumiko Miura at a convenience store. Yumiko expresses her satisfaction with the current state of their peer group, after learning that Hina had turned down all of her romantic suitors. The following day, as the Subu students arrive at Arashiyama, Hayato surprisingly confides in Hachiman about his narrow concerns about how Kakeru's confession may affect their peer group's honor. Then, grudgingly, Hayato assigns Hachiman the responsibility of rescuing it. Later that night, as the Subu students discreetly watch Kakeru confess to Hina, Hachiman risks his reputation once more by interrupting them and pretending to confess to Hina. Before leaving, Hina tells him she doesn't want to date and that she wants to remain single for the time being. Despite the fact that Hachiman prevented a peer group from collapsing, Yukino expresses her disapproval of his course of action, and Yui angrily scolds him for failing to realize how his unconventional approaches to problem-solving damage others who care about him. When classes restart, the students in 2F ignore the field trip's events and carry on as usual, in sharp contrast to the conflict between Hachiman and Yukino in the service club. Ishiki Iroha was nominated against her will in a hoax, so Meguri Shiromaguri and Ishiki Iroha interrupt the club and ask for their assistance in making Ishiki lose the next student council president election. Hachiman then offers a solution that would satisfy the desire by censurating Ishiki. This approach only serves to enrage Yukino, and her point of view conflicts with Hachiman's lateral thinking once more. At the following service club meeting, Hachiman reprimands Yukino for creating a plan that ignores potential issues should Ishiki win and claims that his strategy omits the extra work required to address those issues. Hachiman then leaves the club meeting after Yukino criticizes him for his tactics. One weekend, Hayato extends an invitation to Hachiman to spend time with Kori, Chika, and himself, but Hachiman politely declines. Haruno then convinces Hachiman to accept. The girls from Kaihin continue to make fun of Hachiman until the four of them eventually go out one afternoon. After watching the entire episode, Haruno merely adds fuel to the fire by criticizing Yukino for falling for Hayato's trick and helping him make his point to the females rather than talking about the election. Hayato regrets making things uncomfortable because his goal was to persuade Hachiman that his self-sacrificing tactics were flawed. The following day, Yukino chooses to challenge Ishiki in the election as a response to her plea. Yui also resolves to run for office in an effort to protect the service club should Yukino win because, if she wins, she effectively jeopardizes the existence of the organization. Hachiman, though, is uneasy about the decisions made by the club's members. As a result of the previous occurrences, Hachiman chooses to tell his sister, Kamachi Hikigaya. After offering him some words of support, she then asks him to find a method to keep both Yukino and Yui in the service club. The following afternoon, Yoshiteru Zaimokuza, Saika Tatsuka, Saki Kawasaki, and Kamachi met with Hachiman to discuss how to handle the student council election. They assist Hachiman in realizing that his initial censure motion suggestion was flawed since it would have compromised Ishiki's self-image, which was the only thing she cared about. Saki is then instructed by Hachiman to compile a list of probable candidates, after which Yoshiteru is instructed to use the names to launch an anonymous social media campaign. The following day, Hachiman is successful in persuading Ishiki to accept the presidency by highlighting its benefits, using a combination of social media statistics and deft reverse psychology. Ishiki finally wins the election by default because there wasn't any opposition, and things resume as before. Following the recent events, the service club makes an extra effort to maintain its normal atmosphere. As a result of watching Hayato's peer group, Hachiman tries to uphold this ruse with his clubmates by making more of an effort to socialize with them. Eventually, Ishiki interrupts the group and requests their assistance in organizing a joint Christmas celebration with Kaihin General, on behalf of the student council. However, Hachiman chooses to decline the request on behalf of Yukino when she becomes agitated. At a community center nearby, Hachiman meets with the Subu and Kaihin student councils later that day to start organizing the occasion. To the dismay of her fellow Subu members, Ishiki unwaveringly accepts their ideas based on nothing more than their official presentations, whereas Hachiman finds it impossible to grasp the jargon of the Kaihin brainstorms. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more anime recaps. One afternoon, Yui laments the situation of the service club before Hachiman later searches for Ishiki, when she fails to show up for the Kaihin Subu meeting. He consequently finds himself in an unintentional conversation with Hayato regarding their responses to assisting people. When Ishiki eventually shows up, they learn that Tamanawa has hired elementary school students to do some of the work. After explaining that everyone should have an idea that is somehow incorporated into the Christmas event, Hachiman attempts to persuade Tamanawa to start weighing and eliminating potential ideas. Hachiman then helps Rumi Tsurumi finish the decorations while reflecting on how his previous methods have affected others. Yukino tells Hachiman that he does not have to look out for herself and Yui at the same time and offers a leave of absence from club activities, to relieve him of that load. She knows that he has been helping Ishiki with her request. Shizuka observes Hachiman as he approaches his house after his unexpected meeting with Yukino and describes the dire situation of recent occurrences. Shizuka addresses Yukino and Yui's primary emotional issue by stating that the rift inside the service club was actually the result of his attempts to defend them. She then advises him to reflect on his sentiments until he understands precisely what he has been attempting to accomplish. The next day, Hachiman takes Shizuka's advice and admits the devastation his intentions have caused before turning to Yui and Yukino for assistance. Yui bemoans her inability to open up as Yukino declines, acting defensively as is her custom. When Yukino is unable to recognize a person's genuine emotional condition due to Hachiman's strange presentation, she is frightened to the point of falling through the ceiling. She feels that Hachiman and Yui's desire for them to be more honest with one another connects with her so strongly that she chooses to support Hachiman. After receiving some support from Kamachi, Hachiman decides to attend the Kaihin Subu conference with Yui, Yukino, and Ishiki. Following the meeting, Yukino notes that the situation is far worse than she had anticipated. They seek Shizuka's counsel, and she responds by giving them 4 tickets to an amusement park. The group then agrees to visit there in order to gather inspiration for the Christmas event. However, because Yukino is already a regular visitor to this park and has a membership card, they only have 1 ticket left, and Yui chooses to use it in order to extend an invitation to a different person. This results in Hayato and his group of friends joining them in the park, much to Hachiman's dismay. After enjoying a number of attractions with the others, Hachiman and Yukino are forced to separate from them and decide to go on one of the rides together while having a little introspection. After being reunited with the others, Hachiman notices Ishiki speaking to Hayato by herself from a distance. Ishiki then abruptly leaves in tears, leaving Hayato stunned. Hachiman arranges a later meeting between the student council and the service club and suggests that, in order to avoid a catastrophe at the Christmas celebration, they vehemently press for a radical change in the Kaihin Subu meeting. At the following meeting, the Subu students try this strategy, and when Tamanawa shoots them down, Hachiman calls them out on their fear of responsibility and their failure to execute under that obligation, as further suggested by Yukino. The desired outcome is achieved, and they quickly decide on a musical interpretation and stage production. Ishiki finally assumes control on the day of the Christmas function, and everything goes off without a hitch. The senior students consider focusing their areas of study toward the liberal arts during the upcoming semester, but they soon get preoccupied with a rumor about relationships between Yukino and Hayato. As a result, Yumiko decides to go to the service club, where she emotionally expresses her concern about growing apart from Hayato because he had decided not to tell their peer group about his future plans. Then, when Haruno appears at Subuhai to help the student council, Hachiman attempts and fails to confront Hayato directly about his decision as well as indirectly through her. When Hayato thanks Yumiko and Ishiki for their support, he ends up winning the marathon and putting an end to the rumor. One day after being exposed, Hachiman meets with Haruno and discovers that the Yukino they have all grown to know may only be a persona she created. The Subu students begin to focus on Valentine's Day, and the excitement prompts Hina and Saki, together with Ishiki and Yumiko, who want to gift Hayato their baked chocolates, to ask the service club for assistance. The gathering proves to be a great success in uniting everyone, and Shizuka expresses her satisfaction with Hachiman's personal development since expanding his social network. One afternoon, Haruno stops the service club on their way home and berates Yukino for being unable to make decisions for herself, despite the enormous freedom the Yukinoshita family has given her. Yui invites Hachiman and Yukino to the Kasai Rinkai Park, where they spend the day at the aquarium and bond over their unique personalities while studying the varied aquatic life. Kamachi leaves for her Subu entrance examinations the next day. As the day comes to an end, Yui utilizes her initial service club request to take responsibility for the strained relationships between them. She eventually explains the real reason she called them out. The girls decide to accept Hachiman's compromise after he interjects that it would be preferable to suffer in their uncertainty than to live in a lie. In the end, Yukino confides her own request to the service club after deciding to answer Hachiman's need for them to understand one another. Thanks for watching all the way through. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel for more anime recaps.